It's BRS360 Thursday, and today, does it matter who made your tank? Are they all the same? The answer is there's a lot of good options, but they're not the same, and today we hit on why. And right after the show, the founder of Reef Savvy, Felix, is joining us live. All that's coming up. Hey, I'm Ryan, your host of BRStv. The BRS360 is a full circle journey of taking everything that we've learned together and transforming that journey into a 360-gallon reef tank. Today we're talking tank manufacturers. If you're even considering a new tank, I'm certain you're going to leave today with a pretty clear picture of what direction's right for you. I say that because it took me 15 years to get to this place, and even then, in just the last few months, it just really pulled it together for me. So this is a good chance for you to leapfrog to the front of that conversation. The real challenge here is getting the best value for your dollar, meaning this isn't about if they'll hold water. All the glass boxes we discussed today will hold water. It's something else that differentiates all of them. And if there's one thing I hope everyone comes away with today, it's deciphering all the available options and a real understanding of what the dollar is getting so you can get the option that best serves your desires, and I'm sure we're going to deliver on that. For me, I've owned tanks from a slew of different manufacturers: Marineland, Aquarium, Elos, Red Sea, Innovative Marine, custom Vertex tanks, and Reef Savvy. All the right tank at the right time, and if I look back at what I paid for them versus what I got, I wouldn't have been disappointed with any of them. I'm gonna share right off the bat, Felix at Reef Savvy is making the 360 for me. Felix is a friend of mine. He's built many of the tanks for the team and I, the 70 in my office, the BRS160, including tanks that we used for par testing. End of story, he's earned my trust and delivers on the best tanks out there. But I'll be frank, at the start of this, I was pretty committed to going with the team at Planet Aquariums just because the lead times are shorter and the tanks are easier to afford, and they do really solid custom work. But I had a half dozen discussions with friends that all went the same way, reminding me that I'm assembling a personal dream here and looking at it for a decade plus. I guess the choice just became obvious at some point, and a decision that I won't ever have to second guess. By the end of this, you'll see why this was such a hard choice for anyone, but the differentiators between the 5 different tiers of tank manufacturers are pretty clear once you know what you're looking for. The one thing I'm going to say right off the bat here is what's inside the tank is way more important than the tank itself. I just wouldn't agonize over the tank manufacturer any more than I would over a sofa, because the fish and coral largely won't care which one you choose. The tank selection is really about us as reefers, the finer touches in what it looks like in the room. What we're really buying is a frame for a reefing masterpiece, where in some cases the piece of art actually holds its own with an off-the-shelf frame. In other cases, custom framing costs as much as the art itself, but the net combination can be stunning. So let's get right to it. There are 5 buckets of tank manufacturers out there. Standard off-the-shelf retail tanks, in this case the most popular being Marineland and Aquarium. Premium retail tanks like Red Sea. Affordable custom tanks with glasscages.com being an option. Premium custom tanks from places like Planet Aquariums and Miracle Aquariums, and what I'll just refer to as exceptional tanks, in this case Reef Savvy and Felix in particular being the best representation of that. I'd say I am a bit biased in favor of Reef Savvy representing the exceptional end, but I've yet to meet anyone who has seen his work and would say otherwise. All that said, the thing about each one of these quality steps is price and lead times double at about every step. So the obvious question then becomes, is it worth it, and at which quality tier is there diminishing returns? That's a personal decision that only applies to you, but it really means that you know what you're getting and that value is actually realized in a meaningful manner. So let's dig into each one of those tiers. By far the most common is the black trim retail tanks you can get at a fish store or even big box pet store. I've maintained a slew of these style tanks over the years: 40 breeders, 90-gallon wave, 120s, 29-gallon tanks. These guys hold water and get the job done affordably. End of story. I'd personally buy this style of tank wherever it's cheapest, but unless you're a solid negotiator, it's often the same price everywhere, and in that case, I just go to a local fish store you like supporting. The most common brand of retail tanks are probably Marineland and Aquarium. These tanks are very popular simply because they're the lowest cost options. In most cases, you can find a store in your area that has them in stock, meaning you can walk in and leave with one today. As to which one of these 2 brands I like, I believe the biggest difference is how they go about overflow placement on reef-ready tanks. With some of the Aquariums, the overflows are on the back wall. With the Marinelands, they're often in the corners. I personally prefer the corner overflows, most notably on the popular 120, where there's only one overflow tower in the corner. It's just much easier to aquascape and set up flow without dead spots. Next up is those premium retail tanks. I think the simplest way to put it is these are a way for the average reefer to bring home some of the advantages of a custom tank without all the cost. Meaning the custom features available on custom tanks, but made in China using China materials. Dollar for dollar, this combination often produces some of the highest value products in any industry. I think by far the most common premium line of reef tail tanks being the Red Sea Reefer tanks. Almost every major city has a location where you can actually go see them in person. I've lost count of how many Red Sea tanks we've set up here at the office. We've got rows of E170 for lab tanks, E170 in my office, a 6-foot XXL 750 in the lobby, an E260 behind one of the main video sets. The E series in particular just being popular around here because they're so easy to set up and maintain. What you're going to see with the Red Sea Reefer series is a rimless design which produces a nice clean look at the top, low iron clearer glass, meaning reduced green tint, much cleaner seams without highly visible silicone beads, matching stands which are cleaner looking and taller, so you're not bending down as much to see the tank. The back is black and it comes with a glass sump with all the required plumbing. Once you consider the included sump, plumbing, and stand, the Red Sea Reefers are in the neighborhood of twice the cost of a standard tank. What you're paying for is a nice clean look and what looks like a custom polished frame for that reefing masterpiece. The reason the Red Sea comes in at a much lower than fully custom tank price is simply the economies or efficiencies of scale and building thousands of the exact same size tank efficiently overseas using overseas materials. Well, some stores do stock them and you can pick them up today. Red Seas are more often shipped direct from the manufacturer to your doorstep, a free or at least included perk. In this case, I think it's pretty clear what the added cost of a premium retail tank is delivering on, and I'm pretty confident a large majority of people will be happy with the results. Next we go custom. The first level of custom is just a standard style tank, but in a custom form factor, meaning you can ask for the size and shape you want, but still at the most affordable price point possible. I will say I don't have a ton of experience here that I can offer other than I called around and asked all the people that have earned my trust, and they all said glasscages.com fits that bill well. One thing I liked about their site is they have seemingly hundreds of different tank sizes and shapes, all with very clear prices, many even configurable with clearly priced options. The prices seem reasonable, and looking at the pictures on the site, I would say it looks like the same type of quality standards as that first tier of off-the-shelf, low-cost retail options. The feedback I received from my peers matched that. This is a solid option for a custom size or shape or configuration at a very reasonable price, and if you don't go in expecting super polished finishes, I think you'll be happy. The second tier of custom is what I describe as premium custom tank manufacturers. There are a bunch of companies out there that do this kind of work, but Miracle Aquariums and Planet Aquariums are the two that rise to the top of everyone I know's list. If you're in the market for an awesome tank, potentially a custom size or shape, or just where form matches function, the tank itself has to match the decor standards that you or your family have set up for the rest of the room, this is it. Miracles you can work with directly. Planet has a dealer chain. In most cases, they'll hook you up with someone local to help you get the right tank. You can see their dealer network here covers most of the nation. One of the things you're getting here is made in the USA with Planet and made in Canada with Miracles. The value of that can be hard to define, but it's just a different standard of care. I mean, the polish and attention to detail is taken to another step. The teams building the tanks are long-term tank vets. Mistakes are rare, and when they're made, they're caught quickly and addressed. Frankly, you are either dealing directly with the team that built it or one step away, and there's just a different level of accountability associated with that. My only real gripe is with both of these companies, their websites do not sell the dream very well. It'd be nice to see the high-res imagery of all the tanks and what sets them apart from the rest. For those of us who've got a direct recommendation or seen their work in person, we know what we're getting. But for the reefer researching this kind of thing, it sure would be nice to see the dream that I'm attempting to buy. So while this is not the tier where most reefers start, Miracles and Planet are a pretty common tier for that group of reefers who have been doing this for a while and looking to set up a dream style tank. As I mentioned earlier, I was about to pull the trigger with Planet for the 360. This is pretty darn close to the end game of as nice as it gets in glass tanks. Okay, so what about that truly exceptional tier of tanks? I feel like I knew expressed that I'm a Reef Savvy fanboy, so my opinion is biased. That said, I'm just going to say it, Reef Savvy tanks are not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, and there's a significant wait time, so what would justify that? The materials in manufacturing are the easiest to find. Simply put, Reef Savvy is not just made in America, but also using the best American and European components. Meaning there's what's known as low iron or generic terms like ultra clear glass, and then there's 3/4 inch Belgium made diamant glass shipped in basically hermetically sealed containers. When Felix cracks them, the air that comes out is from Belgium. This is museum quality, highly transparent, extra clear glass with very little residual color. The green tinge inherent with ordinary glass is nearly eliminated with ultra low iron oxide levels, meaning particularly bright, true color representation of all the corals and fish. However, I believe the thing that separates Reef Savvy from the pack is you're dealing direct with the owner, top of the chain. There isn't a single tank leaving the facility that hasn't been touched by Felix. I'm not sure how to describe it, but fanatical business founders like this just have standards that are nearly impossible to reproduce. Speaking from first-hand experience, the most impressive thing is how many times he's told me no. The thing about standards is they only have meaning if you uphold them, most importantly when it's hardest to do. So in cases where others would bend the standards to make a sale, Felix sticks to the standards because he knows what good looks like and how to achieve it. Simple as that. The reefing community has also seen a level of innovation that comes from Reef Savvy that the rest of the industry has attempted to copy after. They're the founder of the low-profile ghost overflow, armored seams, and phantom bottoms. But more than that, when you're designing your tank with Felix and his team, the evolutionary style of thinking is applied to every aspect and decision of the tank, meaning that you'll be 100% happy on all fronts. Outside of that, speaking just for myself, I've had the chance to meet Felix when he made that first tank for me back in 2013, and I got to know him pretty well since then. What I know about Felix is exceptional work is written into the code of his DNA. If we asked for him to do less, he'd just quit and do something else. In fact, the process of putting this video together this week and saying some of these things out loud, it really seems silly that I was considering any other option. But let's come back down to earth a bit. Exceptional work is neither cheap or fast, and it's often in high demand. There's a reason why of the 50+ tanks at BRS, only 3 are Reef Savvy tanks, and it's because there's a cost associated with exceptional. Even though I want it, I can't always have it. So I'm just gonna say it like it is here. When Felix heard that I was finally building my dream in my own house, he called me up and told me his wife and him discussed it, and they want to build something really special as a gift for me. Without getting too emotional about it, I just gotta say that is one of the nicest things anyone in the industry has done for me, and every time I look at the tank, it's gonna have a very special meaning that goes way beyond an aquarium, but more so an extension of friendships that I can share with my family and all of you. In this case, you can actually check out both the Reef Savvy website as well as Facebook and see some really solid examples of his work, which depicts the dream pretty darn well. So coming up next, you get to see the man behind the curtain. Felix himself is joining us live in just 15 minutes at 12:30. We're gonna share some of his work and just talk what makes an awesome tank. So click that link to join us. And if this is your first time with us, you can see the entire 360 build series here, but we'll see you in 15 minutes.